Welcome, cherished friends, to Pure Mind. Think, your sanctuary for finding divine clarity in a world of noise. Today, we embark on a profound spiritual journey. A prophetic update not to stir fear, but to awaken faith. We will journey from the ancient, windswept plains of the Holy Land, where prophecies were first etched in stone, to the quiet solitude of a prayer closet, where the fate of nations is decided. We will explore the signs of our times, the trials that test our resolve, and the glorious, unwavering promise that in the midst of every storm, the Creator is preparing His return to help and gather His people. If you are ready to shift your perspective from fear to faith, and to place your trust in the one who holds tomorrow, I invite you to hit that subscribe button, and ring the bell. Our journey begins now. Imagine standing on a quiet overlook, gazing upon the serene, rolling hills of Galilee. The air is still, carrying with it the scent of olive groves and the echoes of ancient history. It was in these lands that words of profound prophecy were first spoken. Words that have shaped the course of civilizations for millennia. Today, those same lands are once again at the center of the world's attention. We see the headlines: Israel has launched a war against the Islamic Republic of Iran. A tremendous amount of speculation has filled the airwaves, a sense of imminence, a feeling that the world is holding its collective breath. This is the nature of our times. We live in an age of instant information, where news of conflict and tension can reach us in a moment, no matter where we are. It is easy to feel overwhelmed, to be swept up in the tide of anxiety. We hear of talks between nations, of military posturing, of threats and retaliations. We hear of the race for nuclear proliferation, of new missiles being developed, of a world teetering on the edge of a wider conflict. This is the reality of the world we see with our physical eyes. But as people of faith, we are called to see with different eyes. We are invited to look beyond the headlines and perceive a deeper, spiritual reality at play. The ancient wisdom traditions, from the prophets of Israel to the sages of the East, have always taught that earthly events are often a reflection of heavenly dynamics. In the Christian scriptures, the Apostle Paul reminds us that our struggle is not against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms. This teaches us that behind the political and military conflicts, there is often a spiritual battle taking place. It is a battle for the hearts and souls of humanity, a battle between hope and fear, between faith and despair. When we see nations like Iran and Israel locked in a dangerous dance, we are seeing more than just politics. We are seeing the outworking of ancient spiritual conflicts. This is not to simplify the suffering or the complexities of the situation, but to elevate our perspective. From the tranquil temples of Kyoto, where Buddhist monks contemplate the nature of suffering and attachment, we are reminded that much of the world's conflict stems from the human heart's entanglement with power and fear, the desire to dominate, to control, to secure one's own safety at the expense of others. These are the seeds of war. As people of faith, our role is not to take political sides in these conflicts, but to take a spiritual stand. We are called to pray for peace, to pray for the leaders of Iran to have their hearts softened, to pray for the people of Israel, that their hearts would not be hardened, but be open to the true source of their security. We are called to pray for the believers in these lands, that they would be given courage and wisdom to be a light in the darkness. This is our first and most important response. It is the act of aligning our hearts with the Creator's heart, which is always for peace, for reconciliation, and for the salvation of souls. Let us now journey from the external conflicts to the internal ones. The source text I drew from speaks of a specific, ancient prophecy concerning Elam, a region in modern-day Iran. The prophecy, found in the book of Jeremiah, speaks of the Creator's fierce anger with the leadership of this region, a leadership that wishes to launch something somewhere. Today, we see this ancient prophecy echoing in the headlines. As Iran's nuclear program becomes a point of global concern, the prophecy foretells a disaster, a scattering of the people to all nations, and a worldwide humanitarian crisis. That sounds eerily like the fallout from a nuclear event. It speaks of breaking the bow of Elam, striking them at the foremost of their might, suggesting a preemptive strike to prevent them from launching their own attack. This is not a cause for celebration, but for sober reflection. How do we process such a severe prophecy? We must look at the reason given. The Creator is not angry with the people, but with a bad leadership that seeks destruction. This is a recurring theme in many spiritual traditions. In the Hindu epic, the Mahabharata, the Great War, is ultimately a consequence of the flawed and arrogant leadership of the Kauravas. It is a divine intervention to restore righteousness, or dharma, to the land. This ancient prophecy of Elam also contains a promise of restoration. After the judgment and scattering, the prophecy concludes with the Creator stating, "I will set my throne in Elam and will destroy from there the kings and the princes." This is a profound message of hope. It tells us that even in judgment, the Creator's ultimate goal is to remove corrupt leadership and establish His own righteous reign. It is a promise that even out of disaster, a new order can be born. When we hear of prophecies, whether ancient or modern, it is easy to become fixated on the what and the when. But the deeper spiritual invitation is to understand the why. Often, these prophetic warnings are a call to repentance and a reminder that leadership, both personal and national, is accountable to a higher authority. They are an invitation to pray for leaders, that they might turn from paths of destruction and embrace wisdom and peace. As we stand amidst the serene beauty of the Parthenon in Athens, a symbol of a once great empire, we are reminded that all earthly kingdoms are temporary. Our ultimate hope lies not in the plans of men, but in the enduring promises of the Creator. Now, let us face the most sobering of the signs in our world. The one that speaks of a threat that could alter our world in an instant. The source text I drew upon for this message spoke of a vastly overlooked prophecy in Isaiah chapter 17, which foretells the utter destruction of Damascus, the capital of Syria. It says that Damascus will cease from being a city and will become a ruinous heap. This prophecy has never found its historical fulfillment. The ancient Assyrians could never have destroyed a city of that magnitude. In the 6 to 12 hour time frame described, where it is seen at eventide, and in the morning he is no more. But today, we live in an age with the technology to make such a prophecy possible in a single night. This is a sobering thought. Syria today is a hotbed of conflict, with many factions, including ISIS, vying for control. The prophecy in Psalm chapter 83 speaks of a confederacy of nations, including ancient Assyria, where ISIS now holds territory, coming together with the goal of wiping Israel off the map. It is not hard to imagine a scenario where an act by a group like ISIS could trigger a chain of events, leading to the fulfillment of this ancient and terrible prophecy. How do we, as people of faith, process such information? How do we find peace when the very prophecies of Scripture seem to be aligning with the conflicts in our headlines? We find it by looking to a power that is infinitely greater than any earthly conflict. We find it by looking to the Creator of heaven and earth. Let us journey to the magnificent peaks of the Swiss Alps. Standing on a mountaintop, surrounded by the silent, majestic power of creation, one feels a sense of awe and smallness. These mountains have stood for millennia, silent witnesses to the rise and fall of empires. They remind us that there is a power far greater than our own. And faith teaches us that even this great power is subject to the will of its Creator. The Bible is filled with stories of divine power over creation. The God who parted the Red Sea, who stopped the sun in the sky, who calmed the raging storm. These are not just ancient myths. They are testaments to a reality that is still true today. The Creator who holds the universe in His hands is not intimidated by the conflicts of humanity. This is the source of our ultimate peace. Many spiritual traditions hold that the collective prayers of the faithful can create a spiritual shield, a divine protection that can avert disaster. In the biblical story of Abraham, he intercedes for the city of Sodom, asking God if He would spare it for the sake of just 10 righteous people. This story reveals a profound spiritual principle. The presence and prayers of the faithful have the power to alter outcomes. The power is not in the people themselves, but in the Creator to whom they pray. This is our sacred duty and our greatest hope. We are called to be a people of prayer. to stand in the gap for our nations and for the world. We are called to believe that our quiet moments of intercession can release a power that can shift the course of nations. Let us not be paralyzed by the fear of what might be. Let us be mobilized by the faith of what can be. When we partner with the Creator, let the majestic stillness of the Alps be a reminder to us: be still, and know that He is God. Our trust is in Him. In the face of these great and troubling signs, global conflict, and ancient prophecies seemingly coming to life, where do we place our hope? The headlines can feel overwhelming. It can feel as though the gates of hell are prevailing against our world. But this is precisely where our faith must become more than a belief. It must become our anchor. It is here that we must build our house upon the rock. A foundational promise in the Christian faith, given by Jesus Himself, says, "Upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not prevail against it." This is not a promise of an easy life, free from trials. It is a promise of ultimate victory. It is a declaration that no matter how dark the world may seem, no matter how powerful the forces of chaos appear, they will not have the final say. The turmoil we see today is the rattling of those gates, but they will not prevail. This is where the global body of believers must rise to its calling. Our part is not to engage in the endless, fruitless arguments of politics, but to engage in the powerful work of prayer. It is to be a voice of truth and hope in a world of confusion. It is to be present, a beacon of light in the darkness. We are called to bind the works of darkness, and to loose the plans of heaven upon the earth. This is our divine assignment. In other spiritual traditions, this same truth echoes. In Judaism, the concept of tikkun olam speaks of humanity's shared responsibility to repair the world, not through human effort alone, but through acts of righteousness and prayer that align the world with the divine will. In Islam, the power of dua, supplication, is immense. A direct conversation with God that can alter destiny. The message is universal. Our connection to the Creator is our greatest source of power and protection. So, when you feel overwhelmed, do not sink into despair. Turn off the television. Step away from the endless scroll of fearful headlines. Find a quiet place, and connect with the Creator. Release your words of faith. Pray for peace. Pray for wisdom for our leaders. Pray for a revival of hearts. I believe that as we do this, as we come into agreement with heaven's purposes, we will see a breakthrough. Greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world. We do not have to fear the mess. As our journey of understanding comes to its conclusion, let us bring this prophetic update into the quiet sanctuary of our own hearts. We have looked at the shaking of the world, the conflicts, the divisions, the threats that loom. We have affirmed that our role is not one of passive fear, but of active faith. But what does this mean for you, today, as you prepare to lay your head on your pillow tonight? It means finding a peace that is not dependent on world events. The ultimate prophetic update is this: the Creator is in control, and He has promised to return. This is the blessed hope that has sustained believers for millennia. It is the understanding that this world, with all its turmoil and pain, is not our final home. The great spiritual traditions all point to a day of reckoning, a day of restoration, a day when all will be made new. For Christians, this is the glorious return of Jesus Christ. He does not come to bring more war, but to establish His kingdom of eternal peace. He comes to wipe away every tear, to heal every broken heart, and to rescue the souls of humanity. This is the hope that allows us to look at the troubling headlines and say, "I see the signs, but I will not be afraid." It allows us to live with a sense of divine purpose, knowing that our lives are part of a much grander story. It frees us from the desperate need to fix everything ourselves, and allows us to rest in the knowledge that the ultimate victory has already been secured. So tonight, before you sleep, I invite you to perform a small act of faith. Turn your worries over to the Creator. Release your anxieties about the future into His capable hands. Place your trust not in the stability of governments or the strength of armies, but in the unwavering love and power of the One who made you. This is how you build your life on the rock. This is how you find peace in the midst of the storm. Thank you for joining me on this profound journey with Pure Mind Think. We believe that true clarity comes from seeing the world through the lens of faith. If this message has touched your heart and given you hope, I ask you to please like this video. Share it with someone who needs to hear this message of peace, and subscribe to our channel. For more wisdom that nourishes the soul, please, let us know in the comments. What part of this message resonated with you the most? Your story encourages us all. Until we meet again, may you rest in His peace, walk in His strength, and live in the joyful expectation of His return.